For once, it's not a Twitter feud or a leaked song that's causing the complete and utter turmoil on the internet right now. No, something was captured by the cameras in Washington, D.C. this time. That has effectively put an end to the Offset era and ushered in a chaotic, high-stakes new chapter for which no one was ready. Is this the biggest romantic comeback in the history of popular culture? Or is this the most well-thought-out publicity stunt ever pulled off by a woman who knows just how to keep everyone on her toes? The tape that recently surfaced is unquestionable, unpleasant, and completely combustible. So if you thought the allegations about Cardi B and Stefon Diggs were just fan fiction created in a Reddit thread, you should sit back and get ready. We are discussing a large-scale family gathering, a midnight escape vehicle, and timing so toxic that it would make a soap opera seem like a bedtime tale. The ghosts of Cardi's past are yelling for attention as she moves ahead into the arms of an NFL star. I'm referring to a mysterious Houston woman's shocking pregnancy announcement that completely altered the story in a matter of seconds, as well as a mysterious, eerie crash post from a collapsing Offset. Is Cardi jumping out of the frying pan and into a fire fueled by NFL controversies and secret babies? Or is she finally finding her happily ever after? This is a revolution, not simply a reunion. So stick with me. If you believe that the drama stopped with a simple Instagram follow, you are tragically mistaken. Now, we need to get down to the specifics of this case. In the center of Washington, D.C., the true narrative begins, where there was more than simply the summertime humidity in the air. Cardi B was there to do what she does best, dominate a stage and command an audience. But what transpired behind the scenes is currently driving every gossip hunter and investigative blogger insane. You see, everyone has been guessing about her relationship status with Stefon Diggs for months. Everyone thought it was over after the Super Bowl side-eye that sparked 1,000 memes. We watched her leave with that icy expression that only a woman who has been pushed to her breaking point can have. However, the D, the C, everything was altered by the concert. This was a full-scale family gathering masquerading as a tour stop, not just the musician playing a set. Stefon Diggs didn't simply arrive in a blacked-out SUV and take cover in the rear. No, the Diggs dynasty as a whole accompanied him. We're talking about his mother, sister, brother, and even personal trainer occupying a luxurious room that was arranged such that Cardi couldn't miss them. Imagine giving a heartfelt performance with your baby daddy's mother front and center, nodding along to every word. That is not a light-hearted exchange. That's an ownership declaration. The amount of information revealed by those who are inside that building is astounding. According to people who worked in the VIP areas, there was a lot of enthusiasm. They claim that Stefon was acting like he owned the club and wasn't simply a fan. Music. Let's take a moment to discuss Big Fish, that Instagram spam account. He shared a caption that caused a stir in the industry hours before the doors even opened. Top dog energy was coming from it. I am precisely where I am meant to be, and there is nothing you can do about it. After being cut by the Patriots, this man doesn't presently have a jersey to wear on Sundays, but he is still moving like he just won the championship. With the biggest celebrity in the world back in his orbit, you have to wonder if the football field is even his first focus anymore. The NFL's backdoor agreements and corruption rumors are one thing, but the way he is handling this relationship is a masterclass in strategic positioning. He is aware that he is untouchable as long as he is standing next to Cardi B. He is aware that her spotlight is more brilliant than any stadium light in the nation. However, the internet was already delving into the negative aspects of this reconciliation, as the family was grinning in the suite and the trainer was sharing mid-performance flowers and his stories. Now you must ask yourself why. Why would Cardi allow him to return this close after all the public humiliation and other women's rumors? There may be financial connections between them that the general public is unaware of, according to some anonymous claims. We are discussing joint ventures and luxury investments that would be extremely difficult to resolve in court. It's never just about love when you're this famous and wealthy. It has to do with protection and power. There are rumors that Diggs has been navigating his free agency by exploiting his relationship with Cardi to avoid certain legal investigations. If you were a team owner, would you rather sign a man who is embroiled in a media frenzy or one who has formally reconciled with the most powerful woman in music? It's a well-thought-out move that has so far been flawless. The secret life Stefon has been leading while Cardi was raising baby Brim is the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. The results of the Houston investigation are enough to make your skin crawl. As the D was being watched by all, the CA woman called Tiffany decided she was tired of the quiet in the performance tape. She posted the complete receipt book rather than just a mysterious phrase. Dates that don't add up, sonograms, and pregnancy pictures. If these rumors are true, we have a situation where Stefon was trying to win back Cardi's favor while also growing his family tree with an unidentified woman. We haven't witnessed such audacity in a long time as taking your mother to a concert when another woman is at home with your 9th child. It begs a lot of doubts regarding Cardi's true knowledge. Does she play the game or is she being played? Cardi received a dossier of information about Stefon's activities months ago, according to those close to the camp. If, at the end of the day, she decided to get into that car despite knowing that she might have another child, we are witnessing a very different Cardi B. A woman who has determined that the appearance of a cohesive family is more significant than the reality of a faithful partner. The public's response has been a mixture of outright disdain and, strangely, a lot of sympathy from those who simply want her to be happy. However, can you truly be content when the foundation is based on overlapping pregnancies and secret babies? It is astounding how much money is being spent to keep these tales under wraps. We are discussing hush money payments and the use of expensive security teams to keep these ladies out of the spotlight. Tiffany, however, cracked the seal. The D caught her eye. The C camera, she became aware that she was being removed from the story when she noticed the family in the suite. The most serious scandals are fueled by that kind of animosity. The cameras were also focused on the exit, as all of this was taking place in the nation's capital. For those who are still unsure about the reunion, this is the portion that truly closes the deal. Cardi didn't ask her regular security detail to bring her car around after the after-party, when the crowds were dwindling and the pavement was just lit by the lamps. Music. She moved directly to Stefon's car while standing there with a completely defiant expression. Everything the world needed to know was shown by the way she sat in that passenger seat. She wasn't in hiding. She wasn't avoiding the cameras. She was making sure that everyone could see who she was heading out with. Anyone who believed Offset still had a chance was completely destroyed by Stefon's victory lap. However, no one realized that the actual wreckage was going to be uploaded online by a man who was witnessing the entire event from a Florida hospital bed as the automobile drove off into the night. This narrative transforms from a celebrity gossip article to a full-fledged psychological thriller thanks to Offset's response to this moment. He refrained from tweeting. He didn't go live. He recently shared a picture of a wrecked automobile. There is no doubt about the symbolism. He was witnessing the collision of a reality he wasn't prepared to confront with his life and marriage. His recent shooting incident, plus the rumors about his gambling problems, make it easy to understand why people are thinking he is sliding. He is witnessing the woman he professed to love leave him for a younger, more athletic man who currently has the backing of his whole family. You can feel the desperation emanating from Offset's camp. The film contradicts their attempt to fabricate the story that Cardi is being manipulated. She appeared to be a lady in complete control of her decisions, despite the fact that they are causing her to become embroiled in scandal. You have to wonder how much more of this Offset he can handle before he does something genuinely unexpected. We are all waiting for the next move in this perilous game of chess as the tension builds to a breaking point. But let's return to Tiffany, the mystery woman, as she holds the key to all that follows. we need to consider the legal ramifications for Stefon's profession and wealth if the child is, in fact, his eighth. Being an unsigned free agent and paying child support for 8 children is a recipe for financial disaster. Is this the reason he is currently clutching to Cardi so tightly? Is she the lifeline amid his sea of poor choices? According to the investigative findings, there have recently been significant asset transfers intended to pay off debts and satisfy particular individuals. But you can only purchase silence for so long before the truth emerges. He has a shield as long as Cardi is supporting him, even though the public is already beginning to turn against him and accuse him of being a manipulator and a deadbeat. We all know that Cardi B doesn't remain silent when she feels insulted. So the question is, how long that barrier will last if the entire scope of his betrayal is revealed. The energy is changing, and the consequences will be unlike anything we have ever witnessed in the sports and hip-hop industries. Investigations of how these celebrities handle their personal lives and public personas are being demanded. Fans are becoming increasingly irate because they believe they are always being misled. Was the split a deliberate attempt to increase interest in the tour, or was it genuine? Was the reconciliation a sincere act of forgiveness or a calculated move to counteract the bad press that both of them were receiving? Regardless of the situation, the facts are beginning to contradict the image they are promoting on Instagram. We are witnessing an almost astounding labyrinth of lies. However, when the car drove away in Washington, D.C., and the covert pregnancy pictures began to appear on blogs, the mask started to come off, revealing a tale of avarice, ambition, and a complete disdain for the repercussions of their acts. The internet is already taking sides, but the actual discussion started somewhere in the middle of that night in Washington, D.C., when the cameras stopped filming. Because the world was left wondering what happens when the Queen of New York chooses to play a game that no one can win as the car drove off into the night. The true harm was being done in the digital shadows, where the truth truly resides, as the fans were yelling and the paparazzi were frantically trying to get the ideal shot as that automobile raced out into the night in Washington, D.C. You must realize that a car ride is never simply a car journey in this profession. Signed in public, yet this particular deal's fine print is written in complete disarray. Secondary explosions began to occur on all social media platforms as soon as the video of Cardi and Stefon driving together got public. We are discussing more than simply a few thousand likes and a few heart-shaped emojis. We are discussing a methodical dissection of the persona that Stefon Diggs has worked so hard to cultivate as a dedicated professional athlete. Because investigative reports regarding the extreme corruption and poor management occurring within his personal circle were already beginning to surface as he was pretending to be the loving family man in that suite and making sure his mother was visible for the cameras. This isn't just about a chaotic love life anymore, according to those close to the NFL security and compliance departments. The financial issues that Stefon has become involved in since being cut by the New England Patriots are causing severe concerns. The math starts to seem quite strange when you lose that consistent game check while continuing to live a lifestyle that includes private jets, opulent rooms in Washington, D.C., and paying a shifting cast of family and employees. According to some unnamed insiders, Cardi B's reconciliation is both a financial need and a romantic decision. You need a partner with the kind of liquidity and brand power that Cardi offers if you are an unsigned free agent with 8 kids and a growing list of legal fees. The public is beginning to realize that this is a perfect example of exploiting a high-profile relationship as a smokescreen for a business empire. However, let's turn our attention to the most contentious aspect of this entire analysis: the Houston connection and the enigmatic Tiffany. The results of the investigation into this woman are beginning to depict a deliberate betrayal that would make even the most heartless person cringe. There are rumors that Tiffany didn't suddenly decide to make her pregnancy public. According to reports, she and Stefon had a private agreement to keep things under wraps until the end of the tour season. However, she became aware that she was being duped when she saw the mother, the sister, and the entire Diggs family sitting in that room and behaving like a brand new royal family. When she released those music sonograms, the public's response was swift and harsh. While some praised her for revealing the facts before Cardi went too far, others called her a clout chaser. However, this is the information that is entirely absent from the mainstream media. According to reports, Tiffany has records of Stefon coming to see her in Houston during the weeks he was meant to win Cardi back. We are discussing a double existence that necessitates the kind of logistics typically associated with a high-level espionage operation. Stefon's career chances are already beginning to suffer as a result of this. According to sources, since the DC tape and the Tiffany bombshell surfaced, at least 2 large NFL teams who were considering bringing him in for a workout have gone completely silent. They are scared of the circus that accompanies him off the field, not simply his performance on it. When a player's baby mother scandal surpasses his stats, owners don't want to deal with him. This is what constitutes a Stefon appears to be intensifying his career suicide quest. He is placing all of his bets on the idea that he is too big to fail as long as he is with Cardi. However, he is overlooking a crucial point. Cardi B is a lady who prioritizes loyalty over all else, and the public outcry is becoming so loud that even she may not be able to ignore it for very long. This is where things get truly dark, so we must now discuss the corruption inside the inner circle. Anonymous Diggs camp employees are coming forward with accounts of how they were trained to handle these external circumstances. We are discussing the distribution of non-disclosure agreements in the form of suites and the employment of private investigators to monitor these women to ensure they are not communicating with the blogs. It is astounding how much influence and power are being used to uphold this facade. It's a degree of power abuse that extends beyond being a participant. It's a methodical effort to silence women while maintaining a spotless public and career image. However, as we've seen in Washington, D.C., the quiet is ending. The truth was always going to surface when you have a man like Offset witnessing the whole thing from a hospital bed with a mound of resentment, and a woman like Tiffany, who has nothing left to lose. Speaking of Offset, let's examine how the public has responded to his current actions, since they are creating even more conflict. Offset was allegedly in contact with multiple high-level media outlets in an attempt to get ahead of the story, while Cardi remained at the after-party, ignoring the inquiries about him getting shot. According to sources, if Cardi doesn't back down, he is prepared to divulge a wealth of information on Stefon's history. Mutually guaranteed destruction is a risky game. Offset is bringing the entire ship with him if he goes down. Can you blame a man for being irritated when he witnesses his substitute playing home with his family while he is practically recovering from a gunshot wound? The public criticism against Offset has been harsh, with some branding him bitter and obsessed. Offset's desperation is beginning to appear more like a warning than a need for assistance, despite the awful optics for all parties. There are even rumours that the government may look into some of the financial transactions involving the inner circles of celebrities in Washington, D.C. and Atlanta. The authorities ultimately start to pay attention when there are reports of high-stakes gaming, unpaid debts, and this much money flowing about in private accounts. Stefon Diggs may be putting Cardi in a dangerous legal situation if he is using their connection to cover up questionable business transactions. A complete collapse of the big fish empire, investigations into shell corporations, and frozen assets are all possible outcomes of this catastrophe. We're all sitting here waiting for the next shoe to drop, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Not to be overlooked is the public's response at the actual concert location. When Stefon appeared on the large screens, there were reports of a great deal of bewilderment and even some booing, despite the fact that the cameras showed people cheering. Contrary to what many celebrities believe, fans are not blind. They recognize the trends. They recall the Super Bowl rumors and witness the Tiffany situation's actual development in real time. A sizable section of the fan base rejects the story of the ideal reconciliation because they believe Cardi is being controlled by a man who is only there to gain power and provide security. People are debating whether Cardi is a genius for winning him back or a victim of a very skilled con artist in the social media comments. We are witnessing a change in the media's coverage of this as the repercussions persist. Investigative deep dives into Stefon's past are taking the place of fluff pieces about them being a nice couple. Every woman who has ever had an encounter with his security staff is being uncovered, along with past lawsuits and forgotten controversies. With all of this fresh information, Cardi's shield is beginning to crumble. The story that they left the after-party in a state of happiness gets difficult to accept every time a fresh ultrasound is released or a new source comes forward. Music. It appears to be more of a strategic retreat than a romantic escape. The possibility of a physical altercation is the most worrisome aspect of this whole situation, music. The atmosphere is unstable due to the recent shooting of Offset and the increased security surrounding Cardi and Stefon. Both men's security teams reportedly experience near misses in a number of cities. These days, this is more than just online rivalry. This battle has real-world repercussions. A powder keg ready for a spark is created when jealousy, wealth, and a strong need for approval from others are combined. And when Cardi sat down in that passenger seat in Washington, D.C., the spark ignited. She picked a side in a conflict that is far from over, not just a man. We are witnessing the complete disintegration of the traditional hip-hop relationships and the emergence of something far more risky and transactional. A society that prioritizes victory over the truth is reflected in the corruption at the center of this tale. However, the victory is beginning to resemble a defeat as the inquiry into Stefon's 8th kid and the legal inquiries into the financial aspects of this relationship intensify. The audience is weary of the carefully chosen narrative and is ravenous for the truth. What was said in that car is what they want to know. They are curious about Tiffany's next course of action. Most importantly, they want to know if Cardi B is simply another player in a game that Stefon Diggs has spent years refining, or if she is actually as in charge as she wants us to think. As we move into the next stage of this crisis, we must get ready for the fact that what transpired in Washington, D.C. was only the start of a complete collapse that will permanently alter the industry. The tension is rising to an intolerable level. The victory is beginning to resemble a defeat as the judicial investigations into the financial aspects of this relationship intensify and the investigation into Stefon's 8th kid continues. The audience is weary of the carefully chosen narrative and is ravenous for the truth. What was said in that car is what they want to know. They are curious about Tiffany's next course of action. Most importantly, they want to know if Cardi B is simply another player in a game that Stefon Diggs has been mastering for years, or if she is truly as in control as she wants us to think. And that's precisely where the repercussions intensify to an unprecedented degree on the legal and social fronts. Because the secondary explosives in both parties' legal offices were just beginning to go off while that car was driving off into the night in Washington, D.C., leaving the fans in a state of shock. You must realize that a reunion is more than just a love decision when you have so much money, so many kids, and so much public ego at stake. It's a risky legal move. Prenuptial agreements and non-disclosure settlements have seen a sharp increase in activity during the past 48 hours, according to anonymous industry sources. Why would attending a concert together necessitate the requirement for a new set of NDAs? The Tiffany issue in Houston is the reason for this. According to the current sources, Stefon's legal team is putting in extra effort to stop what they describe as a planned character assassination. They are attempting to assert that Tiffany's pregnancy images and sonograms were released on purpose to ruin Stefon's prospects of getting a new NFL contract. To preserve your top dog image for the cameras, consider the corruption involved in attempting to silence a lady who is purportedly carrying your child. The public is beginning to feel uneasy about this degree of power abuse, and the criticism is getting louder every minute. However, it goes beyond the secret babies and child support. The financial consequences that are simmering beneath the surface must be discussed. According to investigative findings, Stefon's lifestyle, which we have witnessed in full with the private jets and the packing out of suites for Cardi's tour, is financed by a very risky collection of investments. The financial streams aren't what they once were because he is a free agent, and the Patriots, his old team, have fully cut ties with him. There are rumors of an impending financial crisis that could result in the freezing of his assets if some creditors aren't paid off quickly. Is this the reason he's holding on to Cardi tightly? Being the partner of a woman with almost $100 million is a very calculated survival tactic if you're a man with 8 kids and no guaranteed income. It has been interesting to observe how the public has responded to this. On the one side, Cardi's supporters are hoping for stability, but on the other, the investigative community is pointing out the obvious warning signs. How is it possible for a lady who built her entire brand on being authentic and unvarnished to support a man whose life now seems to consist only of theatrical gestures? Even Stefon used the term performative in a recent cryptic post, which makes it crucial in this context. He stated that he wished to return to authentic self-expression and move away from what seems performative. However, if you are restricting your comments and avoiding the questions that your own actions have generated, how can you truly express yourself? And there's Offset's fallout. He is currently the most volatile component in the whole equation, as we have stated. He has been observing from his hospital bed as a man he obviously has little respect for replaces his previous life. Offset has faced intense public criticism, with many encouraging him to move on. But you have to consider the psychological damage this is causing. According to him, it's enough to make anyone lose it to witness your son being exploited in a media war and your estranged wife getting into a car with a man who is secretly expecting an 8th child. According to sources, Offset's legal team is getting ready to do their own investigation, focusing on the Diggs camp's financial transparency. Everyone is searching for the dirt that will ultimately bury the opposing side in what is becoming a legal battle of attrition. Beyond celebrity rumors, there is an additional layer of strain brought on by government investigations and financial mismanagement rumors inside these tight circles. Music. The authorities finally intervene when you have this much power over young people and so much money going via uncontrolled routes. If Cardi's finances are as closely linked to his as the sources indicate, the consequences of a possible investigation into the Big Fish empire's financial operations might be disastrous for all parties. A federal probe into financial wrongdoing by celebrities could have serious repercussions. Music. This has happened in the past, and the outcome is typically a complete collapse of the brand. However, the social repercussions are occurring in real time while the government watches and the lawyers argue. Officially, the Little Miss Drama Tour has lived up to its moniker, but not in terms of the music. These days, many attend these performances merely to watch who is in the suite and who is departing in whose vehicle. It has created a tabloid circus out of a musical career milestone. Every time Cardi hits the stage, the tension is evident. It's evident in her face. She is leaning into it with an astonishing and terrible defiance, knowing that everyone is watching her every move. She is the master at making money out of controversy, but at what price? The results of the investigation into Tiffany, the Houston woman, are still being released, and they are becoming more detailed every hour. We are discussing travel logs and leaked text messages that show Stefon in Houston on dates that are in direct opposition to his schedule for reconciliation with Cardi. If even the most devoted followers can't deny this fact, Stefon will suffer irreversible consequences. If you have a secret existence that contradicts what you say, you cannot build a brand on loyalty and family. He is already beginning to be called a master manipulator by the public, and Cardi will find it more difficult to keep him safe as more details surface. The ramifications of this DC night will become abundantly evident in the coming weeks. Will Stefon find a new team, or will his private life remain a liability that no owner wants to deal with? When the 8th child news turns from rumor to fact, will Cardi still support him? Or will she walk away permanently this time, giving him the same icy side eye she gave him during the Super Bowl? What about Offset? Will he eventually find calm and concentrate on getting better, or will his fixation on this circumstance send him down a dead end? A network of ambition, greed, and complete contempt for the truth has been exposed by the investigation into this affair. It tells the tale of people who, despite having everything, still need more and are prepared to destroy everything in order to obtain it. The financial investigations, the performative romance, the corruption, and the secret infants are all components of a broader story about a culture in crisis. As the automobile vanishes into the night and the social media feeds keep blowing up, we are all merely observers of the meltdown and come to the conclusion that there are no winners in this game. When the dust eventually settles, only a few people remain standing, and the dust is thicker than it has ever been. The world is waiting for the official confirmation to become the ultimate fallout, and the tension is at an all-time high. The consequences of this DC night are far from over, and to be honest, we are only beginning to understand what is truly happening behind those opulent room doors and darkened windows. Is Cardi B really in control of her own future? Or is a man who wants her brand more than he needs a new team luring her into a financial and legal trap? Not to be overlooked is the woman in Houston. The formal confirmation we witnessed in Washington, D.C. may be the most costly error Stefon Diggs has ever made if that baby is true. However, the internet is officially split on this issue, so I would like to hear from you. Do you believe Cardi is acting like a boss by keeping her family together, or is she disregarding football field-sized red flags? Is Offset's crash post an actual warning, or is it only the resentment of a man who has been replaced? What about the 8th baby? In a world when the truth about celebrities is stranger than fiction, does that make all the difference, or is it just more noise? I know you guys have the receipts, so feel free to share your opinions in the comments section below. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and enable notifications if you want to keep ahead of the next shocking revelation in this in-depth investigation. To reveal the facts they don't want you to see, we are monitoring every action, every music leak, and every covert ultrasound. You don't want to miss what happens next, so stay tuned since this tale is changing hourly.